Tourisme Montréal est ravi de vous accueillir au championnat du monde junior de plongeon de la FINA 2022. Visitez montréal.org pour savoir tout ce qui se passe à Montréal et découvrir ce que la ville a de meilleur à vous offrir. Tourism Montreal is delighted to welcome you to the 2022 FINA World Junior Diving Championships. Visit montreal.org to get the inside scoop on everything happening in the city and to discover the best of Montreal. Nous reconnaissons que nous sommes sur un territoire autochtone millénaire, lieu de rencontre et de diplomatie entre les peuples, ainsi que du traité de la Grande Paix. Nous remercions la nation Kanyen-Kehaka de son hospitalité en territoire non cédé.
Diving fans, please welcome the finalists in the girls B 3-meter championship event.
Mesdames et messieurs, veuillez accueillir les finalistes de l'épreuve des femmes B au tremplin de 3 mètres.
Representing United States of America,
Représentant les États-Unis d'Amérique,
Molly Gray. Representing Romania,
représentant la Roumanie,
Emily Anya Forrester. Representing Colombia,
représentant la Colombie,
Gabriela Ruzinski. Representing Germany,
représentant l'Allemagne,
Juliana Schnabel. Representing Italy,
Représentant l'Italie,
Giorgia DeSantis.
représentant la France,
Representing France,
Juliette Landy,
representing Germany,
représentant l'Allemagne,
Vanessa Rones. Representing Canada,
représentant le Canada,
Presley Deck. Representing Australia,
représentant l'Australie,
Paige Gillam. Representing Sweden,
représentant la Suède,
Signe Stahl. Representing United States of America,
représentant les États-Unis d'Amérique,
Anna Lemkin. And representing Australia,
représentant l'Australie,
Lucy Dobson. Ladies and gentlemen, your athletes competing in the Group B 3-meter championship final.
Mesdames et messieurs, vos finalistes pour l'épreuve des femmes B au tremplin de 3 mètres.
It's always our pleasure to introduce our officiating panel. Please welcome our referee for this event, Yuki Kanato.
Assistant referee Gordon Peterson.
Judge number 1, Ugo Parisi.
Judge number 2, Julie Thorson.
Judge number 3, Kating Chong.
Judge number 4, Wei Tsung Lee.
Judge number 5, Jan Hendrik Sefken.
Judge number 6, Nana Nederbridze.
And judge number 7, Miguel Valquez Dorgan.
Hello and welcome back to the Junior World Championships here in Montreal. We're starting our second final of the day, the women's B group 3-meter final. It was a really long prelim, similar to yesterday, coming down to only 12 finalists, starting with their compulsory score. Joining me today, again, Igor Kopecki. Igor, thank you for being here.
Thanks once again for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Step into the final. Only 3 dives in the women's B final, 14 and 15 years of age by December 31st of this year. Canadian is leading after the preliminary total scores.
Starting round 1, Molly from the United States with a back 2.5 tuck. Probably not the way she wanted to start this final.
Yeah, there was a little bit of inconsistency in the preliminary from a lot of the women. Beautiful spin, great tuck position, but falling back a little bit. If you're going to fall back, you got to come out earlier than that.
Do you think the inconsistencies in the prelim were due to the fact that it was so long?
You know, all the events are long here. I think often that's a factor for them. I'd say in this facility in particular, we talked about it a little bit yesterday, where you can have a chance to go onto the dry land equipment, the trampolines, so it makes it a little bit easier. You can simulate your takeoff, simulate those things. Obviously, I think the weight is harder mentally. The nerves are there. We see a lot of stress in some of the divers, affecting their takeoffs, affecting their nerves even. Some of the divers crying before their events and just being generally nervous. I know divers I coach who say, oh, I felt fine until I stepped on the board.
Right.
And others who feel it ahead of time. All kinds of differences.
I one time forgot which foot I started my hurdle with due to the stress.
I've seen that happen too.
Diver number 2 from Romania with the inward 2.5 tuck position. A nice way to start the event.
Yeah, nice solid dive. We talked a little bit about tuck positions and things, and she does that classic knees together in the tuck, which I think is a little bit old-fashioned. You can't get into as small of a position. Judges say they love it, but then when you watch a diver get into a position where they can bring their knees a little bit to the sides and get their chest in deeper, they spin faster. It looks more elegant to me as they finish the dive a little bit higher. It looks good. Gabriela, she's from Bogota in Colombia, and does her forward 3.5 much better than she did in the prelims or in the synchro event. Wonderful start for her final, even though you can see her jump out a little.
She still lands straight up and down, and she was compensating for her going short in the prelim.
Yeah, excellent. So good job for Gabriela. I'm sure she was happy to make the final, because she was out of around 14th, 15th place with the last dive, did a great last dive to sneak into the final, and then starts the final on that same trajectory, diving very well.
Diver number 4, Julina from Germany, starting with the back 2.5 somersault tuck position.
So there were 28 divers in the preliminaries. The top 12 advanced. There was a real battle for those last few spots in the final. And she starts out great.
That was a really nice dive from Julina. Nice and high off the board, a little bit slow, but regardless, she knows where she is in the dive. She does a nice push, come out nice and tight right into the water.
And there you can see her knees are quite together, and yet still just a little bit open, so she gets herself into a slightly smaller tuck than we saw just earlier with Amelie.
And when you can get into that smaller tuck, you can also keep your head down a little bit more to look for your spot, making it an even more beautiful looking position.
And it's better for awareness as well. All right. Giorgia De Sanctis from Italy. She'll be starting with a forward 2.5 pike.
I'm liking the way this final is starting off.
Yeah, we had a bit of an inconsistent sort of first round of optionals in the preliminary. We've only seen one miss so far. Also, these divers are 14 and 15, not as seasoned as some of the divers in the Group A, which is 16 to 18. So just by nature of not having as much training, diving, or competing experience, generally they get more consistent as they get older. when you're doing sort of the simpler dives, and we like to see them start with the dive they're confident on. So you can get a good start. Show the judges you're in contention. Bring up some big scores.
Juliette from France, starting with her back 2.5 tuck. And we talk about this where often divers will start the event standing backwards on the board, taking a little bit of stress off, starting with that hurdle dive. It was a little quick off the board.
Yeah, just a little rush. It looked like she was going great and then kind of rushed into her position. Although a very nice tuck position, pretty much like practice. You can see in the replay her tuck position is so small, from the side especially. So she has no trouble making the dive. So she can afford to wait a little more, let it jump a little bit higher, orient herself a little better, and go even straighter in for her next World Juniors.
Diver number 7, Vanessa from Germany, starting with the back 2.5 tuck. And we have 2 German athletes in this event.
2 Germans,
2
2 from the United
Australians.
States, and 2 Australians. The 2 Australians finishing very high in the preliminaries, 1st and 4th. And here's the top German qualifier, Vanessa Renes. Same dive we just saw. Also a little back, but much more vertical. So that'll score higher. And again, nice strong jump. Could have a little better balance, a little better entry to get above a 7. Or into the 7s, as the scores are a little bit lower. They are, I think, consistently judging a little bit low at this particular World Championships.
In the individuals, I would say.
Yeah.
They were judging a bit higher in the previous synchronized event.
In the synchronized event, I think maybe when the 2 divers are going, it brings up a little more excitement.
Yeah.
Judges want to go a little bit higher. But very conservative judging, keeping it low for everyone, so it is fair. But the divers will be disappointed with their scores. It's going to be very hard to do a personal best at this Junior World Championships.
Presley Deck from Canada, starting off her final with the forward 2.5 somersault pike position. Presley is definitely one of our up-and-comers here in Canada.
Was leading for a lot of the preliminaries. Great forward 2.5 pike. Originally from Regina, has moved to Saskatoon. Is now training with Mary DePiro.
She has some great role models there, Margot Erlam, Rylan Weens. She's very lucky to be training in the presence of those 2.
Yeah, Presley's a dynamic diver, has great entries, which is what gave her the lead after the first 5 dives. She has a back 2.5 as her last dive, which is going to be her big important dive. She's still, she jumps up into first place with her first optional, a little bit lower degree of difficulty than some of the other girls in this event. Here's another back 2.5. So the forward 2.5, for example, is a 2.4. Back 2.5 is 2.8. And
Wow.
that was a superior back 2.5 tuck. You can see why she was 4th after the preliminaries. All the elements we just talked about, balance, tuck position, and body awareness in the opening.
That was a very, very beautiful back 2.5 tuck.
So that draws a lot more 7s from the stingy judges today. Very nice dive. And that moves her just ahead of Presley. So she's going to be pushing for a medal. You look for the divers coming out strong. They only have 3 dives in this event, so they need to be steady and steady with quality. A few of the girls are doing 3 dives that are 2.7, 2.8. So if you're doing a 2.4, you really got to be consistent.
And we're not seeing, I mean, these are the younger girls, so we're not seeing a lot of big pike dives. We will see 1 inward 2.5 pike, which is a really, really big dive, especially for this age group. But other than that, we're going to see a lot of tuck position, inward 2.5, reverse 2.5, back 2.5. So a lot to compare to in each athlete.
Yeah, and the biggest dive from the smallest athlete, Gabriela from Colombia, is the smallest by far in this event. In stature, but not in the quality of her diving. So Signe, starting with inward 2.5 tuck. a little bit slow in the spin, but waited patiently, got it straight in. Finishing higher, spinning faster, and then more sevens will be available for her. Top American qualifier, Anna Lempkin, had a nice platform event. And now also starting with back 2.5.
Wow. Beautiful technique on that dive from Anna. It's very clear she's comfortable with that dive. She really knows how to do that dive. The come out to me was the most obvious part. Great tuck. She just knew when to push, put her hands at her side, reached back at the right time. That was a really gorgeous dive.
Yeah, just confidence all over the place on that dive. Elegance. Not all the judges disagree, a low of a 5.5, but she did get a couple sevens. She barely over-rotated. I wouldn't have taken off that much myself, but still a solid start, especially in this event with high degree of difficulty. That moves her into second currently. She was fourth after the compulsory dives, with her point total carrying. So the compulsory points carry into the final, and then these 3 dives are the replacing the 3 optional dives in the prelim.
So Lucy, who did win the prelim, starting this final with the back 2.5 tug somersault. Not her best performance, especially for winning the prelim. Just falling back a little bit on the board there, not really trusting where she was going over with that big splash, but you know, she has 2 more dives to make up for it.
Which is not much in a 3-dive final.
It's true.
So that's going to hurt. That's going to really threaten her medal chances here. She does drop to 4th after the first round. She had good compulsory dives, so that still puts her in contention. But we've got, after 1 round on the leaderboard, we still have Australia in 1st and 4th, just in reverse positions from their prelim finish. Anna Lempkin sitting in 2nd from the United States, and Presley in medal position after 1 round of optionals in 3rd. Now the point spread, 241 is 1st, and 221 is all the way down to 10th. So we are in a very tight event. Less than 20 points separating 1st to 10th. There's still move for a jump. Well, Molly is not going to be pleased with her backs and reverses today, despite the beautiful tuck position.
It's really tough. There's only 3 dives, like we keep mentioning. It's hard sometimes to come back if one of your dives isn't great, like her first dive, the back 2.5, moving on to the reverse 2.5, saving her twister for her last dive. Hopefully that's her best.
Well, she'll have DD, but now after missing 2, it's going to be tough to move up. Has the potential there, just not quite figuring out her orientation, opening too early. And now to Romania for her back 2.5 tuck. Yeah, really great jump, nice and high. Just a hair back where that shouldn't have affected it quite that much, maybe just opening a little bit too late. No problem making the dive again, showing her knees together in the tuck position.
And sometimes after you do come out of that dive, you still have a little bit of control based on how quickly you want to put your arms back above your head. If you give yourself a little bit more time, you can control the bottom slightly better. Still not too bad from Emiliana.
Yeah, once you open up, I mean, you can slow your rotation down, but you can never stop it, unfortunately, when you kick too late. So here comes Gabriela with the inward 2.5 pike. So she did a beautiful one in the warm-up. She did a good, she's done a few good ones, but this is a challenging, tricky dive.
Wow, that was beautiful.
She's going to be pressing. She was in 10th, but with that high degree of difficulty, that is going to move her up.
And for such a petite young girl, that was really nice. She gets in that super tight pike, really helping the rotation, coming out, almost disappearing right into the water.
There she is with the coaches, Juan Uran and Dingo. Dingo's the coach in Bogota. He's actually one of the Cubans that is, we were talking about earlier. Around the world, there are Cubans in many different countries coaching. Dingo has found a home in Bogota. He's been there many years and developing quite a strong team. He's got a few divers here at the World Junior Championships. Yulina with a very nice reverse 2.5. We're seeing just a little bit of quality on the entry, so not just quite tight enough, a little bit over, but certainly high enough. Nice tuck position. Impressive height off the board. Needs to be a little more vertical, a little less splash to get up above a 5.5. On the board is Georgia De Sanctis from Italy. 5th after the first dive in the final round. He's going to try to put a bit of pressure on. She's got a 3.0 degree of difficulty. Forward 2.5 with 1 twist in pike. Well, that is one of the better ones I've seen her do here. She was struggling a lot with that in the preliminaries, even bending her knees in the warm-up right before the event on a few sort of not such ideal takeoffs.
It's a really difficult dive. You're trying to get a lot of somersault rotation and getting in that twist. You can tell from her takeoff, she's not standing all the way up to get the height she needs. She's very focused on the rotation, but she still managed to do it pretty nicely in this final.
Yeah, and don't be deceived. We see in diving the scores are, 4s, 5s, 6s, 7s is a great dive here at this event. I know in gymnastics we're used to always seeing 9s. It's partly because in diving we're only judging by half points, so a 5, a 5.5. We don't have all the decimals that they do in gymnastics or perhaps figure skating. Oh, really elegant diving from Juliette. Beautiful tuck, beautiful kick out. Unfortunately, if you jump it out, she doesn't, like you were saying, she rushes that takeoff a little bit. You can't just see that hang time after the jump where she reaches up before she gets into her position. And so she's losing a bit of the chance to get high scores for that reason. High of 6 on that dive. A little more reach, a little more height, and you're looking at 7s from that quality.
Team Germany, Vanessa, the same dive we just saw Juliette do, reverse 2.5 somersault tuck position.
Well, one of the risks of a hop hurdle, so the hop hurdle is where you're kind of jumping from 1 foot, or from 2 feet to 1 foot, and then back to 2 feet, is where you land on the end of the board. Her toes are a little over the edge, you can't see in that angle, but when your feet are over the edge, as every diver will tell you, it's so hard to go back straight up and just, instead of slipping away from the board. So she does quite a good job of still making the dive, not having a disaster, but that's definitely a little miss. She's handling it well. Shrugging it off, smiling it off. But she didn't want 4s on that dive. She was looking forward to moving up.
No, and the hurdle is so critical on these dives. And when you are doing that hoppy jump, you're really focusing on just one foot, one leg that you really want to put in the perfect place. Because if you miss just the tiniest bit, everything can go sideways, literally.
Presley Deck, currently training in Saskatoon. About to do inward 2.5 somersaults tuck. She did a good one in the preliminaries. Did a good one right in the warm-up, right before the event. And will be disappointed with the one she does in the event, unfortunately. It's a great tuck position. Now, we might see it from the side angle. She does go a little crooked in this takeoff, although that one looks quite good, but you can see her splash going a little bit towards the judges. And not only does she over-rotate a little bit, but that little bit kinked or sideways action, judges will really penalize for that, unfortunately. So, Now it's up to her back 2.5, her final dive to jump back up. She was sitting third going into that. That'll take her out of medal position right for the moment, but she does have 2.8 degree of difficulty in her last dive, which is a chance for a lot of points. Paige Gillum with her reverse 2.5 somersaults tuck. What patience she demonstrates on this takeoff. We were just talking about presence of mind in the air. She's going a little bit forward, a little bit out, a little bit slow. It was a little uncomfortable, but she just waits for just the right moment. This is a tuck and aerial awareness.
It absolutely is, and it's definitely something that the athletes learn kind of slowly. It is really difficult on these bigger dives in this age group to understand, like you said, the awareness. Okay, I jumped out, so I need to squeeze my tuck a little bit longer. I might need to point my toes in a different direction when I kick. But Paige really showed us that she's aware.
Yeah, great job for Paige there. She salvaged a dive that could have easily turned to 4s and got even a couple 7s on it. Now to Sweden, Signe. Back 2.5, had a steady start on her inward 2.5.
Okay.
Beautiful entry. So nothing to complain about there, really. That was great execution. If she was closer to the board, again, a little bit higher and closer, we'd see some big scores from her. I mention it now and again. I like the tuck where the divers grab their shins, not the knees. But I don't think the judges really care. That's just speaking from a coach's perspective and the consistency that the divers can have.
And when it comes to tucks, pikes, open pikes, every coach does have a different preference, and every athlete has a different preference of what they like to do and what they think looks good. Diver number 11, Anna from USA.
Sitting in second after the first round. Did a beautiful back 2.5, reverse 2.5, similar style dive, a steady hurdle, and she should show us another great dive here.
So consistent.
Beautiful. Now, didn't really jump as high as some of the other divers, but gets into a very small tuck and has a nice, elegant, long line. So this entry line looks beautiful. Look at that tuck. Very compact, extended, very nice.
Anna is definitely feeling fueled up for this final. She came second in the prelim and definitely hoping for big things in the final.
So she's in great shape. Her and Paige are virtually tied right now. They're 2 points apart going into the last round. Anna slipping slightly ahead. A lot of Annas here at this competition from many different countries. Now Lucy, the winner of the preliminaries, looking for redemption on her second dive.
Wow.
Much better.
That was, after her last dive wasn't so great, she really needed that one. She went in there with a ton of confidence. She didn't back down. She jumped very high. That was a really beautiful reverse 2.5 from Lucy.
So that's a lot of mental toughness coming back after you missed a little bit, showing that you belonged up there at the top.
Definitely a comeback, really pushing her way into that podium position.
Now we're going to see the leaderboard. With 1 round to go, Anna Lemkin from the United States jumps up to first place, just barely ahead of Paige and Lucy, both from Australia in second and third, respectively. Only 8 points separating them. Gabriella jumped up into the 4th from 10th, the biggest jump of the round with her inward 2.5 pike. She is only 5 points out of a medal and goes early in the round, so she has a chance to put pressure on the others early. As we come into the final round, Molly, with her forward 2.5 full twists, probably one of the more complicated dives because you're rotating, twisting, and then timing it, and that's her best dive in the final. Had a couple misses, a little bit of frustration. Great to finish on a strong dive at the very end.
It definitely feels good to finish on that strong dive, especially in the younger age group of the B group, competing such a big, difficult dive. Molly has so much power. It's crazy. And this is a really hard dive, and we only saw 2 of them in this final, so good work to Molly.
52 points on that last dive. Getting the hug from Oleg, her coach. Consolation hug a little bit. I'm sure she had higher expectations for herself. Now Amelie will be finishing on one of the easier dives to finish on. Back 1.5 somersaults with 1 1/2 twists. Facing the water at the end, 2.4 only. So it'll be hard for her to jump up much, currently in 11th. And fairly well done. Twisting maybe a little bit slow, finishing a little bit low, so it's hard to get that perfect vertical finish. It had a little bit of motion at the end. You can see she has so much rotation, she can't even pike really at the end.
It's very important on the twisting to ensure that you are coming out of that twist and ultimately steering. You do not want to continue to over twist. The judges will deduct quite a bit of points if they see you twisting as you enter the water.
Yeah, so good performance for her on the day, I'd say. Making the finals was good. Maybe could have reached for a little more. And now Gabriela, looking to bring a medal for Colombia. Put pressure on the others, force them to do their last dives well. She has 2.8, back 2.5. No! And Gabriela, unable to put down her last dive to really put the pressure on. Such a good inward 2.5, a good forward 3.5 in the first few dives. And then just opens up too late. Had the potential. She's powerful, nice small tucks. Just too much rotation for Gabriela.
She is a very technically sound diver, and she will definitely do big things. It'll be really neat to see what dive she's competing in the A group if she's already competing in Mertunaf Pike in the B group.
There's not a lot more left. There's an inward 3.5. Not many women are doing that dive.
But the reverse Turnaf Pikes, the back Turnaf Pikes.
Yeah, well, also when you're small, those pike dives are a little bit easier to get in. You don't have those long legs to have to get all the way around. Yulina, currently in 7th. Inward 2.5 tuck. This was a struggle in practice a couple times, but much better in the actual event.
Using the adrenaline.
Yes, one of her better ones. Still just a little bit further away. I think understandable, considering one of her teammates did have an accident this weekend. We wish her, Johanna, all the best and a speedy recovery. So I know that affected the German team a lot. She's doing well now. But look at her standing up and having a good event. Great finish, a lot of emotion there.
Georgia from Italy. The same dive, inward 2.5 tuck. Very strong.
Strong dive, just slightly over-rotated, clean, great entry. That's an example of when you're over-rotating, if you're still tight enough, you can still get a clean entry in and save the scores a little bit. No trouble making this dive. Just a touch late controlling it, but still maintaining tightness for a clean entry. Not the happiest finish for her. You can see she had higher expectations. But she'll have more opportunities. Juliette from France with one of the, also a slightly more rare dive. She's going to do 2.5 twists. We saw earlier the Romanian doing a 1.5 twisting, back 1.5. This is an extra twist.
It will be really critical for her to control that twist, making sure she completes the twist and doesn't continue to twist as she enters the water.
See if she stands this up better than her other very fast twist. Quite well done. 2.8, 3 dives of 2.8. Very steady diving. Still, we see her rushing her dives just a little bit, just a little more calmness to go up a little bit straighter. Give her just a little more time at the end. Looks like she just ran a little bit out of time to kind of get a straight entry at the end. And rotation is also critical in those twisting dives. If you have a little too much rotation, there's not a lot you can do to stop it at the end.
Overall, a really nice performance from Juliette.
Now Vanessa sitting in 10th with her inward 2.5 somersault. .7, just slightly lower than the 2.8 on the back 2.5 twist.
A nice way to finish the event.
Yeah, solid dive. Could have given a little more push with her toes to get a little bit higher. Just finished a little bit low. Solid movements in the kick out, pike out. Nice tuck position.
She's honestly high enough above the water. She could really start working on that pike out position, just giving her a little bit more control in the entry.
And a hug from her coach. Solid performance. And the finals. One of the few countries to have 2 in the final. Germany, Australia, and the US. The only countries to put 2 into the final. You're only allowed to enter 2 in the event. And now Presley's last dive. Back 2.5 tuck at 2.8. She needs a good one to have a chance to move up in the standings here. Sitting in 8th. And just missing the assurance, really, of where she is and how to get that dive down. Did a great one in the warm-up just right before this event. Unable to duplicate it, but much better than her last dive in the preliminaries. So getting more consistent. That's going to be a little bit disappointing. When she was up in contention for the medals, leading a large part of the event, certainly showing the quality there. She is young and will have more opportunities.
This is great practice for everybody who's here. You know, it's one of the first international events that's been hosted in a couple of years. We're just getting back into the swing of things. And these are the youngsters here, the youngest group that's actually competing here.
Now Paige having a very strong event, sitting in 2nd with her inward 2.5 tuck. Unfortunately, not as good as her other dives. A little bit slow. It looked nice and high. Just didn't quite pushing through her toes all the way. Got into the tuck almost a little too early.
Slow, and it slowed her down. But still, making the dive, not as nice like you said.
We gon' bang it till it hurts.
Athletes, coaches, team managers, there are 55 minutes remaining in this warm-up period. We are looking for Team Great Britain Boys Synchro Team. From the platform, we would like to present you with your medals, but you will need to be present to receive them. So please make your way to the marshalling area. The boys team from Great Britain, please make your way to the marshalling area. Mr. Sam Dorman from Duraflex, could you please make yourself available? Sam, please make yourself available. Ladies and gentlemen, your attention to the big screens to see a highlight package of how our athletes achieved their podium status in the boys platform synchro event. Everyone, please welcome the medalists and presenters for the boys Synchro Platform Finals.
Veuillez accueillir les médaillés et les présentateurs pour l'épreuve des garçons synchronisés à la plateforme.
The medals will be presented by
Les médailles seront présentées par
member of the FINA Diving Technical Committee,
membre du conseil technique de la FINA,
Yuki Kanato. Accompanied by
accompagné par
2016 Olympic Diving silver medalist and Duraflex representative,
médaillé d'argent aux Jeux olympiques de 2016 et représentant de Duraflex,
Sam Dorman. In third place, and winners of the bronze medal, representing United States of America,
en troisième position, gagnant la médaille de bronze, représentant les États-Unis d'Amérique,
Tyler Wills. Joshua Hedberg. In second place, and winners of the silver medal, representing Great Britain,
en deuxième position, gagnant la médaille d'argent, représentant la Grande-Bretagne,
Robbie Lee Ewan McCabe. Winners of the gold medal and your 2022 FINA World Junior Diving Champions, representing Germany,
gagnant la médaille d'or et vos champions du monde junior de plongeon de la FINA 2022, représentant l'Allemagne,
Jaden Arkerman Gregorchuk, Christian Bilk. Please join us for the national anthem of Germany.
Veuillez maintenant vous joindre à nous pour la présentation de l'hymne national allemand. Mesdames et messieurs, veuillez applaudir nos médaillés des championnats du monde junior de plongeon de la FINA 2022.
Please show your appreciation for our 2022 FINA World Junior Diving Championship medalists.
it's nice. All my prayers, they glow like northern lights, and I'll fight for every single one. I'm not gonna beg you for tomorrow. Some are born to lead and never follow. No one can tell me now, this ain't where I belong. I fell 1,000 times and I remember everyone. Dare you to knock me down, I dare you to come for me. I've gone 1,000,000 miles to find a place for me, and I'm right where I'm supposed to be. Right where I'm supposed to be. And I'm right where I'm supposed to be. Right where I'm supposed to be. Right where I'm supposed to be. Supposed to be. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. There's a little devil in the song. Swear everybody in this town just wants to see you fall. Baby, it's no fun, so no, it's just a game. Yeah. Oh, keep running out of love, and I don't go giving up. When I'm running out of love, look, no. Let's say I've had enough, and I don't go giving up. I said it all before, I ain't no millionaire, but I'm on my way. On my way. Can't find out but hell I'm on my way. When the world gets heavy, you might hear me say, on my way, on my way. Can't find out but hell I'm on my way. When the world gets heavy, you might hear me say, on my way, on my way. Ain't no millionaire, but I'm on my way. On my way. Can't find out but hell I'm on my way. When the world gets heavy, you might hear me say, on my way, on my way.
Your attention to the video screens where we're watching a highlight reel on how our medalists achieved their podium status. Diving fans, please welcome the medalists and presenters for the girls 3-meter championship event.
Mesdames et messieurs, veuillez accueillir les médaillés et les présentateurs pour l'épreuve des femmes et au tremplin de 3 mètres.
The medals will be presented by
Les médailles seront présentées par
member of the FINA Diving Technical Committee,
membre du conseil technique de la FINA,
Gordon Peterson. accompanied by
accompagné par
Commonwealth Games and Pan American Games multi-international medalist and member of the Order of Canada,
multimédaillé aux Jeux du Commonwealth et Jeux panaméricains et membre de l'Ordre du Canada,
Beverly Boys. In third place, winner of the bronze medal, representing Australia,
en troisième position, gagnant la médaille de bronze, représentant l'Australie,
Paige Gilman. In second place, and winner of the silver medal, representing Australia,
en deuxième position, gagnant la médaille d'argent, représentant l'Australie,
Lucy Dovison. Your winner of the gold medal and your 2022 FINA World Junior Diving Champion, representing United States of America,
gagnant la médaille d'or et votre championne du monde junior de plongeon de la FINA 2022, représentant les États-Unis d'Amérique,
Anna Lemkin. Please join us for the national anthem of the United States of America.
Mesdames et messieurs, veuillez maintenant vous joindre à nous pour la présentation de l'hymne national américain. Mesdames et messieurs, veuillez applaudir nos médaillés des championnats du monde junior de plongeon de la FINA 2022.
Please show your appreciation for our 2022 FINA World Junior Diving Championship medalists.